Hey there, so in today's video, I'm going to be discussing with you 5 simple strategies that you can do with your child to help either reduce or replace some of those self-stimming behaviors. So what I mean by self-stimming behaviors are things such as like hand flapping or the rocking or tapping, things that your child engages in with their body that's like super repetitive. So if you're not familiar, I already did a video completely on hand flapping, what it is, when to worry about it, if that means your child has autism, if you should stop it or not. So if you're interested in learning more about hand flapping and its relation to autism and if you should worry or not, then go check out that video and I'll leave the link to that video in the description below. But this video is particularly for those children who really do need assistance with either reducing or replacing some of those self-stimming behaviors simply because it is interfering and impacting their daily routines. It could be impacting the way that they play, the way they learn, or it could even be impacting their safety or the safety of others, which may be in the long term impacting their social skills. So one way that you can either reduce or replace some of those self-stimming behaviors is to provide alternative sensory activities. So if you notice that your child is rocking or they're hand flapping, this could be an indicator that they just need more sensory input to help them feel regulated. So they're trying to get it in any way possible, and the only way that they know of is to move their bodies in certain ways, which helps them get that input that they're needing. But like I said, if you're finding that the way that they are receiving that self-stimming input is impacting their daily routines, you can try providing other options that still provide them with that necessary sensory input. So for example, things such as weighted blankets or movement opportunities such as bouncing on a ball or playing with Play-Doh, giving them some of that tactile input. All of those different sensory strategies are going to help them still get the input that they're seeking, but in a different way. The second way that you can reduce or replace some of those self-stimming behaviors is to teach them alternative behavioral and coping mechanisms. So let's say, for example, your child is doing a lot of rocking or doing a lot of hand flapping, and the root of that is not necessarily a sensory cause, but it's more related to maybe when they're stressed out or when they're very anxious about something. You can teach them other methods such as deep breathing techniques. You can teach them things such as squeezing a stress ball or one of those squeezy balls. You can also teach them things like opening and closing and clenching and releasing their hands to kind of help alleviate some of that tension that's been building up in their bodies and causing it to overflow into some of those stimming behaviors. The third way that you can help to either reduce or replace some of those self-stimming behaviors is to create a sensory-friendly environment. Check out the environment that your child is doing a lot of the hand flapping or a lot of the rocking and see if it's kind of like too much for them. See if there's like too much sensory input going on. You may need to reduce the lighting in that area. You may need to reduce some of the noise levels that's in that area. You may need to provide them with some slow like visual inputs, or even provide them with some visual support such as like a schedule, which will help to set expectations and reduce some of that anxiety that they may be feeling in an environment that is too much for them. So really focus on the environment that they're in and modify it if necessary, which can help to reduce some of those stimming behaviors. The fourth thing that you can do in order to either reduce or replace some of those self-stimming behaviors is to encourage and provide social stories. So a social story is basically like a story that teaches your child about when and if something is appropriate or when they should do something or when it's not appropriate to do something and what are some alternative strategies. So it's kind of like them reading a book but putting themselves as the character in that book in order to teach them the lesson, right? So for example, if you are noticing that your child is doing a lot of hand flapping or rocking and it's disturbing in the classroom, you may put something in the social story saying, we are going to do hand flapping or rocking when we have our break, or we're going to do that at home when it's time for our sensory break. Something along those lines. So basically it's just teaching them when and where it's appropriate to do some of those self-stimming behaviors and when and where it's appropriate to use some of those replacement strategies such as fidgets or Play-Doh or things of that nature. Last but not least, another way that you can either reduce or replace some of those self-stimming behaviors is to provide positive reinforcement. So you may want to offer more praise and may want to acknowledge when they are reducing in the hand flapping behaviors or the rocking behaviors, or provide them praise when they are initiating using a different method that you taught them, such as deep breathing or opening and closing their hands or reading their social story. So providing them with that praise and that positive feedback will help to promote more positive behaviors and the behaviors that you want to see, as well as the goals that your child may be aiming for as well. So guys, try out these 5 different methods to see if they help to replace or reduce your child's self-stimming behaviors. And remember, like I said, it's not always appropriate or even necessary to reduce or replace children's self-stimming behaviors. Sometimes this is something that they just need to do because this is how their body is expressing their emotions, or they're seeking that sensory input that they need. So it's not really that big of a deal unless, like I said, it's impacting their function, it's impacting their daily routines, their safety, other safety, their learning. If it's really getting in the way of that, then yes, you may need to replace or reduce some of those behaviors with the things that we talked about in this video. But if it's not, and it's more of a you thing, then maybe it's something that you should definitely work on learning how to understand and tolerate your child engaging in what their body actually needs. So guys, make sure you check out the other video that is all about hand flapping and autism, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.